Welcome to this edition of the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce News and Views. I'm your host, Diane Sawyer, President of the Reidsville Chamber. Today we have a special edition of Meet the Board Member and a special guest, Dylan Moore. Welcome to the show, Dylan.
Thank you.
So, since it's Meet the Board Member, we can talk about a little bit about, so we kind of have a long history of, originally, I was in a space when I came to the chamber where we were renting from your family, and lots has happened down there on Settle Street since then.
Yes.
Because at the time, Steve was running the print business and we were next door, and the chamber moved up the street and purchased this building and transitioned down there, and now your dad is the one running the print shop, and
Yes.
you've been doing a lot of things to help them with the embroidery and running the business and just all the things. And so you were one of those young movers and shakers in our community, so I snatched you up. I said, we need that guy to be with us.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, that's kind of how we got started and how we got to know each other, but we've been able to do some cool stuff together along the way. But tell us about who you are, growing up here, what you're doing.
Growing up here, growing up here was, everyone in school was like, I got to get out of Reidsville to make something of myself. And I moved away for college and for a little bit for work for a year or two after that. And then I came back because I just loved it. And I really struggled to find a footing here, something that I can do. And running for office was really probably the best thing that I did to get me connected with so many people. I mean, it got me involved in the chamber with a lot of my now friends, and the connections, led to so many things that I'm a part of today.
Yeah, so tell us about some of the things you're a part of. I know there's a big one that's a neighbor of mine over here that's
Yes.
a member of the chamber that you got heavily involved in. Tell us a little bit about your journey through that.
Yeah, well, it started at the beginning of this year. I had always gone to Lucky City trivia nights, and that was kind of my
Guilty pleasure?
yeah. And earlier this year, I was elected to the board of directors for Lucky City, and some things shook up, as they always have in that co-op, and we got a new board and new beer and working on food, and everything's going in a really positive way, and we're really excited about that, raising money and selling new shares. New brewer, yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, like the new brewer. How's that going with new beer? There sounds like some really popular flavors, and maybe not new to him, so there's some cool history there.
Yeah, well, Clarence Boston is our head brewer. He's from Reidsville, raised here, and he was actually raised and brought up in the Crestwood Apartments, and we named one of our beers that he brew after him. It's called Crestwood King, and that was just our small tribute for him for coming back and helping us, because he's a successful brewer. He has Hip and Hop breweries out of Atlanta, and they're expanding into Charlotte, and I think he has another location as well. So he knows what he's doing. I think he came in one weekend and threw stuff together and made that one beer, and it's our top selling beer. Didn't write anything down or measured anything. He's just that good. And we have an entire beer committee that's also helping with the brewing process. So I think we have about 9 or 10 new beers. Oktoberfest launches tonight. So that's going to be exciting. I haven't tried it yet, but should be a good one, especially for the fall. Mm-hmm.
So that first night, that first real weekend that you're promoting things, I remember seeing like the lives and the reels, and it just looked like that was just lines around the corner at the bar, people outside. Tell us about how successful that was, and pretty diverse crowd, what I could see. So tell us about how you're working towards trying to make it a place where everybody feels included and welcome.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was in there one night, pretty late in the afternoon, it was dark already, even for the summer. I was hanging up the lights that are in there now, And there was a black woman that came to the door, and she goes, "Are y'all open?" And I'm, "No, we're not open yet." And she goes, "Do y'all allow black people in here?" And that's the hurdle that you have to get over. Just speaking very bluntly, you know, it was never a place that was welcoming. So the first thing that I did was diversified the board. We have Sonia, who has been amazing at Henley Home Care, who I met through Chamber Connections. And she's really helped to bring in that crowd, but also DJs and people to play music that would help bring into that crowd. But that night was pretty diverse, and for the first 3 hours or 4 hours, there was a line to the door. And I think it was our second or third best night. Best
In the
night
history.
in the history, or best day, and we were only open for 5 or 6 hours, because there have been days where we were open all day for St. Patrick's Day and stuff like that, and so that just, I mean, that's incomparable to whatever we've done in the past.
So I'm so happy that you just said that, and said that where you said speaking bluntly, because we have tried really hard at the chamber to diversify our board and to make sure that, the first thing you have to do at the Chamber of Commerce is that we have 440 members, and we're trying to, per our bylaws, they all have to be members or employees. They have to represent the membership. So when you first look at the chamber board, you're like, okay, well, are we representing our sectors of membership, right? Because you don't want all industry or all bank or whatever. And so that was the first real, but my eyes were really opened to how we haven't had a ton of diversity as far as real diversity and looking like the people of Reidsville and the people who are employed. And we have had throughout the years, I continue to have the conversation about how our council is so diverse. And I'm so thankful for how diverse the City Council of Reidsville is, because I really truly believe that they look like the population. And the Human Relations Commission has done an event off and on for many, many years, and then it's been brought back. But I think the last count, it was 22 different ethnicities and countries that were represented within the city of Reidsville based on the census. And so my thought process is, I want that same diversity. If we're a partnership with the city and we're representing the businesses, I want that same diversity. And bluntly speaking, at one point in the first few years of my career, there was, and I had no idea this was how this conversation was going to go, but I love that about stuff with you. In the first few years, somebody came to me and said, "Do you know there's an underground chamber for Reidsville on social media?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And so it was people felt like they weren't necessarily welcome. And there's so many ways in the chamber that becomes a thing, because on another level, somebody had come to me and said, "Hey, my blue collar guys don't feel comfortable coming to the lunch events because it's mostly people dressed in white collar business attire." And I'm like, "Oh, well, we got to fix that." So, there was just been all this aha moments, and how do we fix it? How do we correct it? How do we work towards? And there have been several board members who've been blunt and said, "Yeah, well, I want to do this, but we've tried, and it didn't work out." And so people have to want to be involved. People have to want to be engaged. People have to want to be. But right, like you said, so we're consistently working really hard. It was a goal that our board set in the beginning of the year, and we said, "Hey, we want to have events where people feel welcome, or it was targeted at." And circling back to the board member who was, and she was like, "Yeah, but they gotta want to come, and they don't want to, they don't want to participate." And that goes for they, meaning a they crowd. It could be anybody. It could be blue collar workers. It could be anybody who doesn't feel welcome. We want to make sure that we are looking for the chamber to be inclusive in all ways possible, whether it's by sector, by we have a huge Hispanic population that has started joining the chamber. I actually specifically have a new employee starting, and specifically when I went to the staffing agency, I was like, I'm looking for diversity. Like if somebody's bilingual, if somebody looking for a male, like we went through the whole thing trying to really find somebody that was different.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And unfortunately, it did not work out that way, but we tried really hard. And I just think it's a conversation that needs to be okay. Like, it needs to be not taboo. It needs to be okay for us to continue to try to do that. Because in 2023, for somebody to walk up at a business and not feel welcome and ask if you actually allow people to come in the door, like, is crazy to me. So kudos to you and to this board and to Sonia and to all the ones willing to step up, to Clarence. Coming back to his roots and like helping make things happen. And I know from being friends personally with a lot of people who were behind the scenes trying to help get Clarence here, trying to help make those connections. We're all so proud of what you've accomplished thus far with the brewery. It's amazing.
It is very amazing. I mean, just in the short time frame that from where we were the beginning of this year to the middle of the year and now, it's complete transformation with
it really
everything.
is. You know, one of the things as a member owner that I heard people say was, we don't know what's going on, or, you know, it was good old boys club, or, you know, it was just that the members weren't supporting. But my thing is, like, I'm a member owner to support, because, I mean, I wrote that check for myself and my husband, but knowing that we have 3 small kids and super busy with their activities, if I'm not at work, more than likely we're on a ball field or a dance performance or whatever. Like, we try, you know, to make it when there's huge events or whatever, but a lot of times if there's a huge event, I'm working a piece of it somewhere else. And so I think it was never about the members supporting it. It was about the community supporting it. And so I think you guys are really coming at it from that angle and bringing in diversity and people in the community and not making it about a club, a co-op of members who just come and drink beer on Friday nights. Like, that was not what it was ever intended to be. And I think that's what people thought.
Yeah, and that's how you grow the co-op. Like, if you get more people in there, they're going to buy memberships and they're going to become just as invested as other members are that were there day one. I think one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I accomplished with the new board and the committees that are doing phenomenal work is the members were always pressed to show up and do all the work and support it 100% no matter what during the former days of Lucky City. Now it's we want you to come, but what can we do to make you want to be here type of thing. And it was really simple because we've heard it all before. It was food, you know, the atmosphere there,
environment,
the whole thing. So we already knew what it was. It just had to be ambiance. Yeah, it just had to be fixed. And so we're taking small steps, cleaning up a few messes, and getting on the right track. So we're hopefully to have a full commercial kitchen by the first of the year.
Well, you know what's funny? I have a few girlfriends that are left here that have made their lives here, kind of like what we've said. Some of us moved away, or some of us went to college in other places, but some of us commuted to UNC Greensboro, or some of us went away to Chapel Hill and then came back to UNC Greensboro. And so we've all landed here in Rockingham County with jobs either in Rockingham or Guilford. And we have busy lives, but when we try to get together, we always try to support local. One of them's a principal, you know, one of them works for a big company in Greensboro. And one of them works for the school system, worked here and now in Guilford. And we always try to support local, but, you know, we only made it to the brewery one time because there wasn't food and there wasn't, you know, and so it was a very different experience from other breweries and other spots that we had, because we try to jump around. And
but people would say, like, why don't you come to the brewery? Why don't you support it? And that shouldn't be the conversation. People shouldn't feel bad for not wanting to be there.
Yeah. And, you know, I wanted to be like, I'm the only one from Reidsville. And so, like, or I'm the only one in Reidsville. And, you know, it was hard. It was like, we came, we saw, we conquered and we moved on because there wasn't food and there wasn't music. And so it was like silence and us drinking a beer, drinking wine or whatever. And so it's crazy how a little bit of music, and music makes people happy. And it brings out those pheromones and those, just all the stuff, like all the good stuff that makes you have a feel good Friday or Saturday night or a Thursday night because it's Little Friday or whatever.
Yeah. Last night was good. We had our jam session. The first jam session started back, hosted by Scale Street Music, and it was a good first night. It really was. There was some good music, and even before I got there a little earlier, and we have switched up the music, and it was a really good playlist. So, little things like that just show that we're doing better. We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I don't want it to be all about the brewery because that's not the only thing that you do. Let's talk about some of the other stuff. So for us, you're part of a marketing committee that we're trying to get going, and we've been able to incorporate your job and what you've been doing, and then some of your background and how good you are at some of the marketing stuff. Tell me a little bit about, or tell the public a little bit about some of the things we've been working on.
Yeah. Well, so here in the Visitor Center, we have merchandise that we've been working on for people to come in and buy. One of the first projects that I was able to work on was the postcard project, and there are about 10 or 11 designs there that the chamber here is selling for people to come and help with. I think they're
I'll get some. We'll grab them.
Yeah. $2 or something, and they're just fun for people. I always get postcards wherever I go, and sometimes
we get tons of calls for them. And I'll give a wonderful shout out to Rockingham Update, who's our producer, and he's going to hand us some handy ones. We should have thought about that before we came on camera, but we'll look at those. So that's probably my favorite project, and I'm going to talk about, when I think about this, and then we're going to talk about Shay Lindsay because I know that you're friends with. So another thing that we did was we've done some 150 projects, and we have on display here a really cool thing that you did that our city manager loved.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to talk about that too. But you want to talk about some of these? That's so exciting. Like, this might be one of my favorites. I'm going to let these.
This I don't know where this image came from, but my grandpa worked at Short Sugars back in the day, and so we actually had this image hanging up somewhere in my grandma's house or our house for the time being, and I got this one off the internet. I think it was actually on their website, of Short Sugars website, and so it's just such a staple for here in Reidsville.
You know what's really cool about that? My husband's grandmother at the Short Sugars downtown, she made the biscuits.
Really?
And for years. Yeah. And so, that was cool because they'd come and watch her make the biscuits. Kind of like, Biscuitville does the window or whatever. She used to make the biscuits at Short Sugars, and that was just I never met Granny Stella, but they always talk about her and talk about how she made biscuits. And so it's so exciting because for the first time in a really long time, there's going to be a restaurant opening in the old Short Sugars from downtown.
Yeah.
So La Boca Loca. I'm so excited.
Me too.
That's really cool. Well, let's talk about this. Talk to us about this and your idea and how this came about. And
I don't know how it came about. I was just playing around because for the visitor center, we just want to put together some items to sell. So we have the postcards, T-shirts, hats, and cups and mugs and things. Just different things, and I was playing around online and what else can we do? And I saw this idea to create a record, and I was just like, okay, let's do that. And so it is literally a vinyl record with different songs on it that I just kind of picked out that would kind of go well with Reidsville's theme as a city. Side A has We Built This City by Starship, Viva Mi Vida by Mark Anthony, Small Town USA, Justin Moore, Dancing in the Street, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, Team by Lord, I Am the City, ABBA, Get Lucky by Daft Punk and Pharrell Williams, We Are the Champions, Queen, Down on the Corner, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and Ain't No Stopping Us Now.
I love it.
I know, so cute.
It is so cute. And
I hope that they are, I think we are doing a time capsule, and I
Yes.
want to sneak this in somehow
I think
after
we
I
can.
waterproof it. I have two, so maybe we can keep one and then I
yeah,
can sneak
I
the
think
other
we
one in.
can.
Yeah.
I think we can. We might be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, along with the city did the Christmas ornaments that were in the same like classic form that the old set of Christmas ornaments had been. So they did 150 of that. But we were just starting to work on it. Now I'm excited to say that we've got the e-commerce piece of our website built, and
Yes.
it's ready to live launch. And so we can sell stuff online. So that's really exciting. And I think we're going to work together on some items to market the visitor center. But the postcard thing was like the first real super success. We've sold quite a few of them. Kids come or people come and say, hey, my family's doing something, but I need to send it to this kid across the country that's doing something about Reidsville. Or it's wild how that comes about. So. And I'll be looking forward to adding them as new businesses get to be, a thing or whatever. So it's kind of cool because I know the Lucky City logo is trademarked, and that's really cool that we have that on a postcard, and it's just cool. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the other stuff. We got a few more minutes. You've been involved you ran for office yourself. You've been involved in other campaigns and worked with other people, and you've made some friends along the way and gotten yourself involved in other stuff. Tell us a little bit more about what you like to do. You're so great to jump in. Like, I'll never forget, you have one of the greatest costumes at the trick or treat last year. It was one of my favorites, and I'm hoping you're going to participate this year.
We'll see. I haven't thought of anything yet, but that was
You got
last minute.
time.
That was last minute. You got 2 days on Amazon Prime, so. We'll wait
Oh
and
my
see.
gosh! Well, I wouldn't have believed it was last minute. It was amazing. So I'm excited to see you've got. A little over. About a month.
Yeah,
A month.
yeah.
You got time.
Yeah, I was the Joker last year. My boyfriend, I made him be Batman.
Yeah,
so.
but he was great Batman.
great. He was
a
great.
great Batman.
He was.
So maybe y'all can come up with another couple theme. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
So tell us. So this is your first year, right, as a board member?
Yes.
Right. So you've got some years left to serve. So I'm excited to see kind of how that comes. But you've got other things. So. I know you've got the friends over at Shea Lindsay and
Yes, Rob and Cindy have been amazing. I mean, Rob helped the transition through Lucky City. He's the president of the board of directors, and he's been amazing in making that happen. But we actually met when they started the social house. I was on the planning board, and I don't know what happened. Sometimes those meetings can just flip over and, you think it's going to be an easy meeting and it turns into 3 hours. And it was one of those meetings. And just me wanting Reidsville to grow and, have new businesses and whatnot, I found myself the only one in support of the bed and breakfast idea that they had. And so they immediately we were immediately friends after that. And Cindy's now on the planning board, and she's running for office this year. So they've just been a great addition to Reidsville.
yeah, and their story's really cool because they
Yes.
just found the property online, and she's a certified chef. And he is wild. Like, he has a lot of skills.
Yeah, a pilot.
Yeah, he's a pilot.
He's
and
in Nova Scotia right now, I think.
Yeah,
flying
it's
a plane.
wild.
It's
So they're
wild.
like world travelers, jet setters, just like Barbara and Ted Desjardins, like who bring their global experience right here to Little Reidsville and just make a difference. And
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yes.
So they have done some cool stuff with we had a staff retreat there, and we were able to do that. Their ribbon cutting was really awesome, and I know they do the supper club and
Yes, I
some
love
other
supper
stuff.
club.
Oh, so you do go to that, so that's
Yeah.
good. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm sure the food's phenomenal.
Oh, it was, and it is. I was thinking back to I guess it was last month, not this month, last month, but we did a Hawaiian theme. And it was right around the time that the Hawaiian fires were going on, so we didn't plan that, obviously, but it was just, coincidence. But that food was, I've been doing it for a year now, the supper club, and that food was the best.
That's awesome.
The best I have ever
That's
had
awesome.
there. I mean, just amazing food. I think it was ribs, some type of pork.
Was there like some kind of sweet something to it? Was there anything that was like? Because sometimes that like there's.
I forgot what that stuff is
Yeah,
that they
like
had,
the
but they had
like
that.
the saucy stuff, like the So
They did, and they had sweet potatoes or some type of potatoes that were purple. I don't know. She got them at like an Asian market, but they were so much sweeter than a regular sweet potato.
I don't
So
know.
good.
She's just amazing. She's able to do some really cool stuff. So, well, you at different times, you have helped your parents, and your dad's just come through a really crazy health scare and
Yeah.
time, and you were able to step up and help the business.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough for all of us, but our whole family stepped up really. I mean, from my mom and my dad's side stepped up and helped through that. So, but he's well recovered now. I mean, there's no stopping him.
Of course not.
Yeah, I think it was probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. His doctor called and said, "Well, I'll let you know, next week if you can go back to work." And he was sitting at his desk already at work. It's just, so, yeah.
That tickles me because
Yeah.
it does not surprise me in the least
No,
bit.
it wouldn't.
And of course, I'm sure your mom was like wildly frantic over him being okay and trying to make sure he was okay. And
Yeah.
Just-
I mean, the slightest little sound in the back of the shop, and she's like, "Are you okay? What was that?" type of thing, So yeah, but it really was. We all helped out and stepped up, and it's good. It's good. He's
Well, that's what
recovered
we
now, and he's
do in small towns and in small businesses, right?
Yeah. And our customers, I mean, Cecil that just left was totally, worked with us because we did the shirts for his family fun walk, and just everyone worked with us so
Well, I
well.
was talking to a fellow chamber member. I was not doing chamber business. I was doing another organization that I volunteer for business. And I was telling him that I needed to order something from you all. And he like had no idea. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, well, I've got to call and check on him because I didn't know." And like, it just reminded me, like, we all wear so many hats and we are all so involved and interwoven and connected.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Oh gosh, like that's my buddy. Like I like him. Like I need to call him and check on him." And that's what I love about this job. It's what I love about this community is how we all come together. So, what's your favorite thing about being back in Reidsville? What do you think at this point, like, has been, because it's a big step.
Well, my passion project, my heart project is Chinqua-Penn right now, the Chinqua-Penn Trail.
Tell us about it. Oh my gosh, you have, okay.
Yes. Well, we just got that grant from Pella, the $18,000 from Pella, and that connection really came through our business and the chamber to make that happen. And they just showed up with that, big check out on the trail one day and just blew me away. So, shout out to them because that can last us for years because it's not too much money that goes into the trail, but when the hurricanes come through and the winds,
Oh gosh,
trees,
yeah. And we're headed into that.
we're headed
Oh,
into
gosh.
that. So we're in a good place for the trail financially, and the response that we've been getting just from, I think about 3 months ago, I looked in to see how our Facebook and social media had grown just over the last year, and it had increased by 300%.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's amazing, and we had an event in June that did really well, and then we're having one in November that's it's been on Facebook for less than a week, and it's already got over 1,000 people responding to it. And our email list has grown from like 300 to 3,000 in a matter of months.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
What made this a passion project for you?
I like hiking a lot.
Okay.
I like walking with my dog. And just the people out there that I met on the trail, because every time you go there, you see people.
Everybody stops and talks.
Everyone
It's
stops
so
and talks.
funny.
Sometimes if I just want a good walk, I'll go to the one, the trail that nobody knows about that I won't say where it is because it's my private trail and I don't want anyone there, just so I can have a good walk.
That's hilarious.
But I love the trail and the history there with the Penn family and
I could
stuff.
beat myself up. Like I never, as a kid in Rockingham County School System, I never got a field trip there. And it was
either.
open when I first started at the Chamber 12 years ago. Never dreamed I wouldn't have the opportunity to go, and I could kick myself for not going to the Christmas event or not ever going before.
Me too.
All that happened. It makes me so mad because I'm a little obsessed with that whole piece. Like I love it. I just love that. It just makes me so sad what happened.
It does.
And you can never go back. Yeah. So anytime that people, like a video or a photograph or something surfaces, like I'm like, oh, I want to see it because I'm. So, well, that's cool because we share that too.
Yeah, the trail is just that last piece that we still have. And I mean, I don't want to scare anyone, but we're holding on to it by just a sliver. Like it could go in any moment. And so we're always trying to find ways to keep it.
Yeah, I understand that.
A treasure here. And the good thing about it, the really fun thing about it is that the group, the Friends of the Chinqua-Penn Walking Trail, is a group of volunteers. They do all of the labor, all of the volunteer work, and everyone else in the county is trying to emulate what Chinqua-Penn is doing in the other trails around the county and in North Carolina to find their own little friends group and to do the maintenance, do the fundraising, because North Carolina is a trail state. I mean, this is the year of the trail for North Carolina, and so they're just trying to find ways to support all of these trails that they have and all the people that want to get involved.
Year of the trail and mountains to the sea.
Yeah.
So exciting. North Carolina is a beautiful state.
Yes.
And we have such a great piece of it.
Yes, we do.
We really do.
Lots of parks, 2 or 3 rivers, 3 rivers, I think.
3 rivers, a lake, 2 lakes. Yeah. More lakes, I guess, on the other side. Does that touch Rockingham County? It does, doesn't it? Yeah. So we got, what is that, 3? I don't know. I've lost count. It's a lot of rivers and lakes and water. Blue ways. Our blue ways and green ways.
Roco Blue Waves.
Roco.
Lindsay will like that.
Yeah, Lindsay will like that. You're welcome, Lindsay.
Shout out, yeah.
All right. Well, we are out of time, friend. I'm so glad, but I guess I didn't think about in my head where it would take us. But I'm thankful. We touched a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Thank you for being on the show, and thank you for being such an amazing human being, and for just being such an amazing part of Reidsville. We really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you as well, and thank you to the Chamber.
Yeah. All right. It was a great show. Thank you for being on.
Yes, thank you.
All right, folks, that is it. As always, you can find us in downtown Reidsville at 140 South Scale Street, or on our social media channels, or online at www.reidsvillechamber.org. That's it for today. We'll see you real soon.